It's just what you want. It's just what you want. It's just
not absentee, but we collectively are here to prepare a generation for elevation. We are not just fathers, you can call us dad. Dads that have the role of training, the task of reigning, the mission as kings in our kingdom, working to bring them, the children, to a place of uplifting, encouraging, strengthening, educating, demonstrating the right way to work and to play. We are fathers, we are dads, doing it because of love, because the job had to be done for our daughters and our sons. Mistakes and flaws, missing applause, we do what we do. Fathers, let us encourage you.
It's just what you want. It's just what you want.
Randall D. Moore, Omaha, Nebraska. My wife, we lasted maybe 3 years between the marriage and the divorce. The best thing that we ever did was have two wonderful kids. Brooke, who is the youngest of the two, now 11, and Dewan, who will be 13. Both of them are angels, book smart, academically dynamos. They are the joy of my life. The reason why I fought for them in the marriage is because of, let's say I wanted them to come up right. I wanted them to have character. I wanted them to have many of the things that I didn't want, that I didn't have, and I wanted to make sure that they had it. I wanted them to make sure that they had drive and had purpose, and that they still got the old traditional values of please and thank you. I wanted to make sure that they had many of the things that mattered the most. I don't know. I think that our generation got cheated out of a lot of things. And I wanted to make sure that they got those things. I'm trying to think of what those things were directly, but I don't know. They both attend church a lot. They're both active in church. They both know how to, treat the elderly. They know how to, have social grace and have conversations. And they're both very quiet. They're not rambunctious children. My wife and I, we didn't see eye to eye about nothing. So it wasn't a big deal for us to have a big battle over them. It was coming. It was natural. We met through an employer. We met at work. At that time, I believe I was working at a hotel in downtown St. Louis, and I was working in the front office. She was working in hospitality, and those are about the best memories that we had right there. That we worked as a couple, as a team through that time, and we had a lot of fun. It was good being the boss. I was the third shift audit director, so it was good being the boss back then. So it made for some fun times. The split up happened. It really was, as my mother would always say, you can't run around unequally yoked. You know, I was raised a church boy all my life. You know, I was true a church boy, and she was true a club girl. It just wasn't gonna work. You know, she still wanted to party. She still wanted the club. She still wanted the thug, so to speak. We just helmed from different lifestyles. And, you know, my grandmother taught me, she said, you have to learn how to cook and clean. You have to learn how to do all the things now that a woman doesn't do. This was in the 80s. Because there's going to come a time where you're going to have to learn how to do certain things that a man of her age at the time, which was 60, never had to do in her generation. And failed to form, it did. It came true in my marriage that I was the one, which, you know, we should share those things equally. But it came to pass, you know. It's just what it is. And that helped put a big wedge in our relationship. It just seemed like I was always cooking, always cleaning. Gender roles was just jacked up in our relationship. And that was just really the biggest problem, was it seemed like, you know, you had the man bringing home the bacon, you had the man doing the cooking, you had the man doing the cleaning, but you had the wife who was out doing the partying. And you had the man who was raising children anyway. So what did the man need the wife for? You know, so that just really tore our foundation up. Okay, so Zoe, how is math going? Good. And how is Miss Farmer? What do you mean? You just know? She's okay. How's the basketball? Travis? Oh, because you forgot. You had to speak up, otherwise we can't. So the water. How is the first 2 days of swimming go?
I only went swimming once.
Okay, so how does swimming go?
Good.
How is your group doing?
Good.
Any problems? Seem to be okay. You're advancing properly. If you have any questions, you can always ask Miss Rosenthal. How is Mr. Feinberg's class? What is it? Feingold's class.
Oh, good.
All's going well.
Mm-hmm.
How about social studies? I see that y'all want to do a little, what's it called? Henna?
Yeah, it was like
It's henna.
something like the African, like they do, they paint their skin thing.
Yeah, I think it's more from India. Yeah, it's called henna. I'm just worried you might get allergic to it. You might be allergic to it. If it's part of your grade, will allow you to do it. Yeah.
Now, you guys go to church? Are you guys active in church?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys do?
Sing.
You sing?
And what else?
Acolyte.
Yeah, you or altar girl. Yeah. At the church. Yeah. Do a lot of attending work, so to speak, to the communion. Yeah. So you help the pastor and the pastors and the ministers at the church. You do a great job. Great job. Gotta find Dewan a job. Maybe he can go back there and help the ushers. Probably be one of the only 2 ushers. Single fatherhood began very early for me. I raised my own brothers and sisters. That's part of what I said in the 80s. The family dynamic, or part of what I should say, the family dynamic for my family was already jacked up. Just crack, just destroyed the families. And I dealt with that with my own biological mother. So I spent time, I already had the experience of a child parent. So I already had part of that, in me to raise kids. So I was already, equipped to do that for my own two children. It wasn't hard at all. So it was 2 or 3 years into the marriage made it easy for me to decide to let it go. And in letting it go, it actually made it easier to let it go, because now I felt like I didn't have to raise a third child. I just could let the third child go and just raise the two. The initial challenges, because I didn't have outside, and I didn't really want outside help because of some of the extra conditions that would have put on my two kids, is I didn't want certain individuals babysitting or influencing them. So that was a frustration. So it shut down, getting out back into the dating scene for a while. It shut down, partying. So I had to let certain friends go. I had to let certain acquaintances go. Associates had already fell by the side because they feel like if you can't tag along with them, they want to go anyway. And nobody wants to deal with a man with two kids, because if you don't, they don't always want to go to Chuck E. Cheese. They want to go to, the dollar, tequila shot emporium or wherever have you. They don't want to be stuck around with the kids every blue moon. Most men don't want to be dealing with kids at all. So, but that's the positive thing that I found out about having kids and wanting kids with us men who have kids and have fought for our children. It shows that we have broken the barrier, that we want to be men with children, that we want to show love, and we have taken the time to be a loving father to the next generation. I think that a lot of times we have destroyed what the mentality has been for the previous generations, especially the last two previous generations. Because the last two previous generations, those men have run away. And that has been a negative on our society. But I encourage you men to stay in the fight. I encourage you men to hug and love on your children, especially your male children. It's not easy, but it's not impossible. Because the good parts is the men who stay in their children's lives drive the teen mortality rate down. They drive the gang mortality rate down. They drive the gun mortality rate down. And they start to help us to end the cycle of death in our society. And they start to raise our educational numbers wholeheartedly in our society. That's why we see an uptick in mayors and an uptick in representatives among black men and women. And it ain't only about us black men and women. We're reaching out all over the spectrum. It's Hispanics that are now saying enough is enough and talking about DACA. So I don't only want to be one-sided. I want to reach all of and we have Native Americans as well. We have, for those of other Caucasians and other brothers and sisters who might be watching this, we encourage you to come over too. As a disciplinarian and a nurturer, what does that look like for me? It does not look like a problem. It's not a problem for me at all. It is important. It is highly important for me to do that, and to do that well. You cannot care for a tree and at the same time not prune it. You have to be able to, to care and to pluck a tree and to prune a tree at the same time. There are times when the tree has to be tended to in such a way harshly, especially after a storm, and it has to be tended to with care sometimes, and it has to be cuddled, and it has to be nurtured, and sometimes it has to be treated hard. Sometimes you have to lop a limb off of it. But at the same time, you're always concerning yourself with the care and the nurture of that tree. The same thing with our children's, with my son. I'm always worried about his care and his concern. And with my daughter, I'm always worried about her care and her concern. Sometimes the discipline might feel harsh, but the harshness of it is because I love and I care for him. Who I do not, that's the Bible, who the Lord does not love. Who the Lord loves, he chastises. If I do not love him, I would not chastise him because I wouldn't care. Now that's part of the problem. If the parent ain't nowhere in the picture, then that's part of the problem. They're not receiving the love and the concern. You have to nod a head or two sometimes. And I mean that in a figurative manner. Not an actual manner. Because if you really nod in the head, then you don't love your child. That's abuse. Now, come on, get with me now. That's abuse. Especially the one he can't handle getting beat. Can't be cheating. Oh, you were? Wow. That's it.
Color is yellow.
Yes. Color is green. Uno out. Wait a minute, which way was this going?
You never said Uno.
I did. I said Uno
You
out.
only have one card left. You didn't say it then, though. You have to say you only have one card.
You didn't call me on it.
Didn't see.
Fabulous. Next. Any interaction that I have had that has any interaction I've had with my ex-wife and how that worked and how that has been. Our interactions per se has been short and simple. We are not on a positive track. We never have been. She is not allowed to see the children. She has been declared best way to say it is the state has declared her a negative force for the children. So she is not allowed to see them. That has brewed, negative insights about me to her. So we don't see each other. She's not allowed to see them, and wouldn't be allowed to see them until they're 19. So, and that's only at their request. So, when on the occasion that I see her in passing, I keep walking. That's the best thing that you can say. Let her do her, let the heathen rage. That's what I can tell everybody. And babble about vain things. Oh, has there ever been moments when I wish that I had more help? And what have I done to overcome those moments? Oh, most definitely. I've had times like that. But hey, like I said, I'm a church boy. I've gone to the Lord in prayer. So that's what I've done. And that's all that I could do. That's the short answer to that. I wish I could have had more help. Sometimes you can't have more help. Sometimes all you can do is get on your knees and pray. Go look for a better job. Go look for additional funds. Hey, sometimes all you could do is go find a pantry to hold you over to the next week or to the next, next month or whatever have you. But you just have to make it work. Depression, though, I could tell you is not the answer. Despair is not the answer. You don't give up. You do not leave the house. You do not leave your kids. You do not give up in any way, shape, or form. You keep pressing. You keep going. I always say the road is not easy, but it's not impossible. And the answer is sure not improbable. Hey, I'm Randy Moore. I've given you all I got. Be encouraged to all the single dads. # doing the right thing.
How y'all doing tonight? So, it wouldn't be a show without Michael Jackson. So I'm gonna do Michael. Butterflies. I'm a groover, so I'm gonna need y'all to groove with me. I won't ask you to dance, I won't you drop it like it's hot. But I will ask you to groove with these. Okay? Groove with me, y'all. Alright, here we go. All you got to do is pass me by when I'm trying to get through. Keep me wondering why, when all I can do is sigh. And all you got to do is not answer my call when I'm trying to get through. Keep me wondering why, when all I can do is sigh. I just wanna be, just want to touch and kiss, and I can be with you tonight. Yeah, 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 yeah. Give me butterflies inside. inside. I don't wanna say that I must be dreaming. That can't be real. You're not here with me, yeah. But I can feel you near me. I caress you, let you take a hit, a kiss. Oh, I would give you anything, yeah, just to make your wish come true. Oh, baby, you give me just one touch and kiss, and I will you tonight. Yeah, 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 yeah. You give me my life inside. I just wanna touch and kiss, and I wish that I could be with you tonight. Inside. If you would take my hand, baby, I will show you, guide you to the light, baby. If you would be my love, baby, I will show you, guide you till the I just wanna touch you, kiss and nothing is you tonight. Come on, this one you gotta prove with me. 1, 2, 3. I just wanna touch and I will be with you tonight. You give me that. Come on, build it up. Come on, I want touch and kiss, and I wish that I